Today, January 18, marks 1 year since Manuel Tortuguita Esteban Paez Terán was killed by Georgia State Patrol in the South River Forest outside Atlanta. A 26-year-old queer anarchist, Tortuguita had been an active participant in the movement against Cop City for months before Georgia law enforcement took their life during an early morning raid to clear protesters from the woods. Through a curated set of edited videos, we'll provide context to the movement against the massive police training compound being built in what is colloquially known as the Atlanta Forest, exclusive insight into the events of January 18, and detailed coverage of the movement's response. Please note that some of the images and context throughout this live stream may be upsetting to some of our audience. We at Unicorn Riot hope you appreciate our live stream showcase. Thanks for joining us, and let's begin.
Stop Cop City! 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 Stop Cop City!
Cop City is the proposed development of a urban warfare training center for police here in the city of Atlanta.
This would be a new training facility to allow the police to further develop and hone their oppression of poor and marginalized people.
These are not everyday facilities like classroom space or learning how to drive between orange traffic cones.
It's going to include military grade training facilities, bomb testing sites.
A shoot house, meaning a mock house, a mock village, a mock city, if you will, for tactical training, active shooter training.
Tear gas deployment capabilities.
There would also be an EVOC, Emergency Vehicle Operations course. Toys, basically. These are toys for cops.
It's proposed to be built in the Waylani or South River Forest, 381 or so acres of that forest, and so they're going to have to really destroy a large part of the environment to develop it.
They want to build up this huge militarized training station so they can continue to develop and hone their techniques of oppressing and brutalizing Black and brown people, poor and marginalized people, controlling crowds, riots in the wake of the 2020 George Floyd uprising.
Its real name is the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center. First and foremost, this land, and not just these specific land parcels, but everywhere around us, is stolen indigenous land. This land specifically was inhabited by the Muskogee. You may have heard them referred to in school as the Creek. After it was stolen, it was a plantation. There were many plantations in this area. The family that we believe owned the plantation that the prison farm itself was on, we believe it was the Key family. We believe that this is the same Key family that appeared on an 1860 slave census showing that they owned 19 slaves on this land. In 1911, another member of the Key family sold, I believe, 268 acres to the city of Atlanta. Farming and prison operations kind of began properly, at least by the late 1920s, early 1930s. So certainly by late 1930s, 1940s, the Atlanta City Prison Farm was well underway. And the horror stories began pretty quickly. Samuel Baines, a 36-year-old black man, dropped dead shortly after a patrolman woke him up to get dressed. Mark Isaiah Willingham died after becoming sick. Robert Reynolds, 49, black man, died from head injuries, prompting an investigation. In reference to Reynolds, mayoral candidate Charlie Brown declared, approximately 10 prisoners have died in the jail in the last 4 years under so-called mysterious circumstances. Whether it was an intentional lack of health care to outright abuse and murder, people died there. We do not have an exact date for when the prison farm closed, but we do know, obviously, the equipment was sold off in 89 or 90. And there's discussion around 1995 or 1996 of using the prison farm to house the city's homeless during the Olympics. Throughout the 90s and the 2000s, tires were dumped there, industrial waste was dumped here. We don't really know just how poisoned this land is. This is stolen Muskogee land. This land was a plantation. This land was a prison farm, which is just another word for a plantation. People were raped here, people were sprayed with chemicals here, people died here. People's bodies were rented out for labor and bussed off to other parts of the city from this land. We've used this land as a dumping ground. We have not respected this land, and we have not respected the people that lived on and were forcibly held on this land. And now we want to give it to the police?
The establishment of Cop City will really affect the entire country. Atlanta will be a leading exporter of a lot of violent tactics, police tactics, if this training compound is built. Training police officers in urban warfare tactics and with military-grade weaponry is really dangerous. And we've seen examples of that through the killings of folks like Anthony Hill and Shamarian Robinson, Matthew Williams and Rayshard Brooks. Those are examples of how militarized tactics really only increase the likelihood that the police will kill. We see it as important to address or try to stop the development of this project in order to increase the safety of Black, poor, and working class people in the city. This project will increase and intensify gentrification in the area. Gentrification is really just the process of of removal. In the beginning, it was settlers, right? Like, settlers moved in and removed the original people who lived here. Police are really the enforcers of these processes. When we think about how their role in terms of criminalizing and incarcerating Black and brown people, that effectively removes those people from the neighborhood and allows for wealthier, often white residents to take their place. And so we can point to the example of the many evictions that have taken place, and police really playing a key role in evicting people. So we see Cop City as a force to really break up the neighborhood and allow for wealthier residents to move in and just changing the makeup of the neighborhood. We understand that this will also just accelerate climate change, right? And so the impacts of that will be felt by and large by the surrounding communities, which are again, black and brown. Destroying the forest will bring about things like flooding and decreased air quality and rising heat levels, all of which will be felt, again, disproportionately by, the black surrounding neighborhoods, but really all of Atlanta. It's important as we think about, the struggle to defeat climate change, like maintaining the forest is key to that. And, again, climate change is something that is already being felt disproportionately by black and brown communities. And so we think, the Waylani forest is so key, and for them to destroy 381 acres of it to build this militarized urban warfare training facility is unconscionable. We can't allow that to happen.
My experience living in this forest has been wild, beyond imagination. We have something like 7 or 8 platforms and tree houses up now. This is the second wave of this. The cops came in last May and tore down a bunch of tree houses, but we promptly rebuilt them. It does a number of things. First of all, it brings me a lot of joy to be able to build my own house in this forest as an act of resistance to the police, as a tactic that frustrates them week after week, raid after raid. And, I think that's really what it is right now, and it is also stopping construction. And, this is a non-violent form of resistance, protecting the trees along with tying trees together so they can't be felled. People in this movement also build barricades to prevent the cops from moving through the woods, to prevent the movement of machinery through the woods. The blend of the symbolic and the practical is definitely really important here. Tree sits are inspiring. They can mobilize people to take more risks with whatever level they're comfortable with. There's a huge diversity of tactics in this movement. Property, such as machines, windows, are not more important than living things and living people. And that sort of resistance is really the least that people can do in response to the violence that is inflicted daily by the police and the state. Just our visible presence here, whether it's in the line of construction or not, is a deterrence from construction. People see the militancy and the tactics that are being employed here, and it has inspired actions all across the country. This movement is completely autonomous and decentralized and not controlled or directed by any sort of organization, nonprofit or otherwise. There's no institutions, no formal leaders. There are people doing what they feel is right, and that means that we can be extremely creative and we can do what's effective rather than sticking to tactics that have been tried and tried again with little to no successes.
We've organized protests and we've also done work to get the word out and let the surrounding communities know what's happening, because there's been very little transparency coming from the folks behind the project, like the Atlanta Police Foundation and City Council, and so we've worked to just canvass surrounding neighborhoods, just to knock on doors and let people know what's happening in their neighborhood, because we understand that as the police, continue to militarize, that there's no way that, that they'll be able to fully meet the needs of our communities, that, we need to rely on each other in order to defend ourselves, to provide for a safe and secure environment for ourselves and our communities. That's looked like building out, community defense programs that include things like medic training and first aid and, disaster relief and, restorative and transformative justice practices that really build community defense outside of, what the police or the state might offer. A couple of our programs are more focused on how do we keep residents in place? How do we make sure that we maintain the character of the neighborhood and and ensure that folks are better equipped to stay where they'd like to stay in their homes? And so that has meant, providing things like $750 a month to residents who ask for, code enforcement, rental assistance, or, home repairs. And so that is one program we offer to residents in South Atlanta. We are also engaged in a liberation program, which is a program we use to distribute food, household and cleaning items to, folks who ask for it, just to make sure that people have more resources to help them, satisfy their basic needs. The work of community movement builders we see as, a part of the broader movement in the sense that there's a lot of work taking place here directly in the forest. There are forest defenders who are occupying space and, working to prevent, trees from being cut down and development from taking place. And our work is meant to complement and be in concert with those efforts by really doing some more community defense. We want to protect the safety and security of our communities, and this project won't do that. It will only, worsen those the safety and security of those of the communities that we live in.
People are ready for something else. People are grasping tangibly the suffocating brutality of the police state, the imminence and immediacy of climate change and ecological devastation. It's not some far-off dystopia, it's already here, and people are responding in kind. People need to know that Cop City will never be built, that we're not going anywhere, and that this resistance is not only absolutely necessary, but it's a lot of fun. And it frequently feels really good to resist something that is just so ontologically evil. No compromise in defense of Mother Earth, no compromise in defense of our lives, no compromise in defense of our freedom or autonomy. We're gonna stop Cop City.
Stop Cop City! 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 Brassfield and Gory, you will be sorry. 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 Brassfield and Gory, you will be sorry.
places of work and to your home and try to get you to do what's right. Let them know we'll be back. Bradfield and Glory will be back.
Later, God.
What's the problem, man? Yeah.
We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
We'll be back.
The earth, tear up the concrete, the state disappears. Capital's the cause of the death, unscorch the earth, tear up the concrete, the state disappears. Capital's the cause of the death, unscorch the earth.
A fraction of what our communities will experience if Cop City is built, right? We recognize that Cop City is not being constructed so that the police can learn tactics to go after the corporations that are polluting our neighborhoods or practicing wage theft against low-wage workers or go against the developers that are exploiting our communities and literally forcing people out of their homes due to rising rents and property taxes. No, they're going to be learning urban warfare tactics to harass our communities, to surveil us, to prevent us from doing things like gathering here today and letting the public know what's going on. You know, it's no coincidence that they've mobilized so quickly around an issue like this because they recognize that they need to expand their power so they can hold on to it.
The Atlanta Police Department is using chemical weapons against unarmed, nonviolent political protesters. This is not normal. This is not normal in Atlanta. It should not be normal anywhere. Why is it happening? Well, we've seen over the past year or so, during the course of the movement against Cop City, the protest movement against Cop City, that the police have been engaging in a deliberate campaign to demonize this particular protest movement. They've made an effort in the press to associate this protest movement with fires. Even the governor got in on it at one point, calling the Stop Cop City protest movement terrorists. But I want to be clear, the people that the police are attacking with plastic bullets, with chemical weapons, as recently as yesterday, these people were not involved in threatening anybody. They were not involved in endangering anybody. They were sitting passively in trees trying to express a political position. So we can see that the Atlanta police are engaging in a clear campaign of escalation of tactics over the past year.
We need to make sure that we are asking the question, why is it okay to cut down over 100 acres of forest and that's not considered a violent act? Why is it okay to have 90% of the jails filled up with black people and that's not considered a violent act? The police have continuously used violence to push through this project. And so if we only focus on the destruction of property, but we don't focus on the destruction of people's lives, we are doing a favor for the police, but we are not talking about the real issues here about why we want to stop Cop City.
This fight will continue, and it's important for all of us to get involved, to rally around those who were arrested yesterday, to demand their release, right? To materially support the organizations and groups that are fighting against Cop City, and also to defend this community, right? Because this community has historically been victims of over-policing. There's a juvenile detention center down the street. There's just a huge apparatus of policing in this community that they're experiencing even more of because the police have escalated their tactics against the fight to stop Cop City.
Are we going to end up in a situation where the police are murdering protesters in order to advance not public safety, but their particular political agenda in building Cop City?
We're coming to document what's happening in this public park. This public park is still accessible to the public. The police informed us that they were doing a cleanup. We will be visually witnessing what is happening.
Ma'am, you cannot go past this point, ma'am. No, you cannot go past this point. Back up.
This is a public park. We have every right to be here.
Back up.
Why are there fucking riot cops in this public park?
Well, you're trespassing right now.
This is a public park. Look at the fucking law.
Trespassing right now.
Hey, excuse me.
Who's trespassing us? Who's trespassing us?
I'm letting you know you can't be here right now.
Public property! We have a right to be here!
We're gonna stop Cop City. We're gonna stop Cop City and build the world that we want to live in. Build the world that we want to live in.
I implore the fact that you're very committed to your
What's that machine
movement.
back there?
However, if you're still here
Why is the
in
park
3 to
closed?
5 minutes, you will
Why
all
is
be
the park
arrested.
closed?
I'm going to keep walking. If you're within 3 feet of me when I get to you, you will be arrested.
So we're in the parking lot of People's Park, or Weelaunee People's Park. We are on like the southeastern side of Atlanta, on the DeKalb County side in Georgia. This is a parking lot that has been the site and kind of like the entry towards a 2-year-long struggle to defend this particular forest against the building of a cop city and a Hollywood dystopia.
I made it my business to like look at what the real estate deal with the swap was. I keep a picture of it in my phone, so that when I talk about it, I'm trying to talk about it in the most accurate way possible. And it seems pretty clear to me that this is illegal property destruction that just happened. That this is a public park that's still open to the public. That the language pretty clearly says that this new park that we're supposedly swapping this one for needs to have public structures built on it before these structures could be knocked down. And so this seems to be pretty blatantly in violation of the contract, of the language. And so one of their favorite things to harp on, or one of their favorite things to make a big deal about, is like how uncivil property destruction is. This looks like a bomb went off. This is my neighborhood. Like, this is where I come to walk for my own health and for relaxation, and I see distressing destruction of public property.
I'm from this area. I was born in this area. I'm 24, so that's 24 years of experience in this area. And it's just very shocking to me that, you know, as you can see all these rocks and, you know, how they came and destroyed everything. I think that's really sad because I watched them build this trail for people to walk and run on and just enjoy Mother Nature. So that right there is the struggle for me. And also just seeing those people get arrested, you know, that was very harsh, and those were innocent people. You know, those people just wanted to be out and protect Mother Nature as well, and I supported that. And because I you know, I'm from this area and I ran every morning on this trail. So right there, that's a struggle for me that I have to take, you know, forever.
I think that Millsap's strategy was to try and harm the movement by taking away the superficial structures in this public park, but it's not about the walking paths and the gazebo and the structures that were already here. It's about the land and the people and what they do with it. So as you can see, this all happened today, but we're here doing our regular weekly Wednesday grocery giveaway. We've put up tents to, you know, cover the tables. We're here. We're just going to rebuild everything that's been torn down.
It's been 2 years of like a very like both disparate and like concentrated force of people trying to defend this forest from both locally and around the country. And it kind of culminated in terms of the repression that recently culminated in these really violent, like multi-joint operation, GBI, which is Georgia Bureau of Investigations, their wing of the FBI, DeKalb County, Atlanta, Fulton County, like pretty much every armed force showing up and just like physically harassing and assaulting tree sitters until they got them like violently remove them from their tree sits. And Georgia apparently has this really wild, like the federal domestic terrorism charges aren't enough. They have their own state level domestic terrorism charges, which is what allows them so much horizontal, kind of like so much space to kind of abstractly charge people with this.
This is in the context of decades of protest movements that have seen this kind of government repression out of the same playbook. So activists in Standing Rock, activists in the Line 3 pipeline fight, activists in the Green Scare. Going back decades, there's numerous examples of the government using these exact moves from this exact playbook of vastly overcharging people with extremely heavy charges in order to distract the movement, dismay us, make us afraid, to have a chilling effect on protest. And it's, this is not that dissimilar from other cases where we've seen people get really heavy charges for nothing more than their supposed association with an activist movement. And so our plays are the same too. So we get together, we support those people, we don't leave them behind, we make sure they know they're supported, and we don't stop our protest activity because that would just be rewarding this incredible attack on the First Amendment and on people for standing up for what they believe in.
Off the property, they all want you to get hurt by this fallen trees and debris, and it's private property, so I got to escort you off.
It's a public park.
No, this is not a public park, this is private property.
It's a public park, there's an ongoing license.
Can you step off the property, please?
Are you a police officer?
Yes, I am.
Are you DeKalb County or are you here as private security?
You see right on my sleeve.
Yeah, but this isn't Lithonia.
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference.
This is unincorporated DeKalb County.
No, yeah, this is incorporated, unincorporated DeKalb County, and I'm working a part-time job.
So you're working a part-time
job.
And also, there are no trespassing.
There are no trespassing. There are no...
Step off the property. This is not a public park. This is private property.
This is a public park. I'm sorry. Whoever hired you told you the wrong information.
No,
this is a public...
Whoever you told you the wrong thing. Hey, Sean. Yeah. Now, they refuse me to leave. I'm about to call. I'm about to get on the radio and have a 17 weeks to put him in jail.
So, are you on duty as a police officer right now, or are you private security?
This is a part-time job.
Your part-time job is private security.
Retired DeKalb County
You're
police
retired.
officer.
I see. So, so you're retired. So you're not here with DeKalb County. You're here with who? Who hired you? Ryan Millsap?
I don't even know who that is.
Well, who hired you?
So who hired you?
I'm not here to answer your question. I'm here to escort you off the property.
So today we lost somebody unnecessarily to police violence. I believe that everybody here agrees with the fact that nobody should die at the hands of the state. And in this midst of grief and sorrow, I want you to make space for that. So when we organize, we do organize out of a place of rage and anger because it's righteous and it's real, but we also organize out of love for one another. We are organizing for a future where we are free from oppression, where we are free from violence.
On January 18th, a number of different police agencies performed a military-style raid on the South Atlanta forest.
A lot of people started getting reports early that morning that there was commotion in the forest from the police scanner. It seemed like a protester had been shot and that they were now dead. But that was kind of all anybody knew.
GSP, Georgia State Patrol officers, killed Manuel Terán, known to the community as Tortuguita.
Knowing now that people could be shot for living out here was a very, very intense and scary thing.
In December, we warned that the escalation of violence and the escalation of demonizing rhetoric against these activists was going to lead to more violence. There was a previous raid in the forest where activists who were sitting in trees were attacked by police with chemical weapons, dragged down from their tree sits, and charged with domestic terrorism. At the time, this was extremely alarming to us because these charges were unprecedented, especially considering what the activists were accused of actually doing, which was not blowing up any buildings, not assassinating political leaders, but simply sitting in tree sits. This was the first time that we heard the rhetoric of terrorism start to be directed against political protesters in this movement. It's a dangerous and irresponsible thing for political leaders and the police chief to do. We can see that when you call a political movement terrorists, that functions as a dog whistle to the police, calling for more police violence. It amps up the police force on the ground. It puts them in this position where they're being told round the clock that they're facing violent extremists who are armed, who want to kill them, who have bombs, who will, assassinate them from the woods. It's unfortunately not a surprise that officers who are coming into the forest with this type of mentality would end up shooting and killing an activist.
So this was the QT BIPOC. It's the queer, trans, black, indigenous, people of color camp. I mean, it kind of speaks for itself at this point. They came and trashed all the tarps or slashed them. This is Tortuguita's coat. They didn't take all this stuff. It was flagged. There's various different tents they trashed. This is Tortuguita's sleeping spot. Kind of confused that they left this. This is a hammock of theirs that they may have been laying in and trying to figure out what to do with it. But you can see they slashed it. And there's some weird stains on it. But it kind of spans from back here to back there. A lot of stuff has been taken, but they also left a lot. That day when they came in, the first thing was the person up in the tree heard crashing and banging and large machinery, and it was super foggy, so people couldn't see right away, but they were destroying the barricade with the cement and all that stuff at the RC field. And the cops were like coming through the woods from, sounds like they're fanned out a couple of different ways. There's some trails, there's like an obvious like UTV trail over here, but they came in like a bunch of different directions. And the last message we got from Tort was, "Reed, please help." And then as soon as people were texting, "What do you need?" we heard one gunshot and then a bunch of gunshots.
Regardless of the particular circumstances surrounding the killing, police entered the forest prepared to kill people in order to suppress this political movement. There was no other reason for police to be in the forest to begin with. The authorities are hoping that with this level of threat now on the table, with the idea that activists could be charged as terrorists, could be murdered, that now this will cause the momentum of the movement to subside. This will cause people to quiet down. This movement is continuing. It's gaining momentum and attention nationally.
We are all forest defenders! We are all forest defenders! We are all forest defenders! Stop Cop City! Abolish the police!
In 2020 learned a lot while they were there. A whole generation learned how to throw down in the street, and they don't think we're going to forget about that. That's why they're building Cop City. But, you know, they also have to contend with the fact that we didn't forget about that, and that a lot of people have spent a couple years trying to prepare for the moment when they will need to do it again. That's why they want to build Cop City, is because they're trying to get prepared for the next conflict where they're going to have to beat people in the street again. Not that they don't already do that, but they're getting prepared for that on a bigger scale. And I think people in these communities are also getting prepared for having to fight the police on a bigger scale. There's this mutual escalation in tactics, and all of it has been mediated by the police. They could call off the project and everyone would go home. That's their decision. We told them the terms, they just won't accept them. Like, is it really worth that much to them to have that facility that they would put civilian bodies in danger? They kind of made that choice, and they're sticking to it. So, I don't know, as much as I don't want to think about that possibility, it's like, I think it's naive to say that people haven't learned over the years. Nobody wants their friends to get domestic terrorism charges, but like, people feel so strongly that they're willing to risk that.
I don't know. They left a lot of stuff too. But was just telling friends, I gotta go over here, feel a little mixed up about the situation because there's a lot of hard-fought unity right now between a lot of different groups coming together because of Tortuguita's murder by police, and that's something that they would have loved, is all these people coming together. They're a Venezuelan immigrant. They always said they'll never take me alive. I think that's important. People should know that. And they loved people. They wanted peace. They wanted all these things. They also felt a very fervent need to protect themselves and other people they care about. They cared deeply about their QT BIPOC community. They made sure this camp happened, like this little space for people that identify that way. And they also just were a people person that they wanted to see a lot of people come here. And like one thing that I think is important is a lot of people respect them and love them because we remember them as like a kooky, messy person too, and that makes them just as beautiful because they were fucking real. They weren't a saint, they weren't this angel, they were a real person that actually cared about people, and they were willing to have conflict or willing to go there, because if you actually want to make real change in this world, a lot of the vanguards on this earth aren't really appreciated till after they're dead. It's really easy to appreciate people when they're dead and not when they're here, stirring the pot, starting stuff. But like, you're not going to change anything if you don't stir the pot and start stuff, and they're really fucking good at doing that. And they were not a Gandhian nonviolent person. They were a person that was about protecting their community and protecting themselves. With the same token, they valued a place where everyone could just live and be at peace. But that's a hard-fought fucking thing that isn't going to just be given to us or given to anyone, when like the elites, like white ruling class of like corporate fuckheads and cops that protect private property, like don't want that for the rest of us. And they knew that, and they would talk about that. They were a wobbly. Or they started out, I don't know if they started out, but they were wobbly for a long time. They like talked a lot about class, they talked a lot about organizing, they talked a lot about what we had to do to get to the next step. They were a fucking medic, they were an extremely involved medic, and they believed in like going to like different trans gatherings and protecting those gatherings. Like they were just like very oriented that way, and they were very fierce. Whether people like are afraid that cops are going to come and use deadly force, so this will justify using deadly force, they already came in and used deadly force. It's not anything that we can say or do that's going to undo what happened. That's already happened, and it's awesome that we're coming together. We should keep coming together, and I think they'd want that. They always talked about that, so let's stick with the facts. Let's stick with the facts that our friend has been murdered. They're not incarcerated. Our friend was a contrary. They wanted peace, they wanted love, but they wanted fierce protection of their community. They wanted all these things. And it feels good to like remember them the way that they were, and not like a romanticized way, because you don't need to remember it a romanticized way. They died a warrior's fucking death in a blaze of goddamn glory, and there's nothing to make up. It's right there, all for you. And I think they would just be fucking ecstatic to know that like more people have come around, that riots have broken out, that this like beautiful contrary scene of like vigils and violence towards police all exists in the same sphere, because all of that existed in the same sphere as them. The struggle continues, and like while we pick up the pieces of like what's left and like keep going, there's a lot of questions, but there's no question that Tortuguita isn't coming back. And they would clown on people that were like peace police and any of their shit. They would clown on that shit. We gotta be about it. We gotta be about it, and they were about it. And they died a warrior's death. You can't say nothing too much about no one that dies a warrior's death, because they fucking did. And we're gonna keep going. Thanks.
They're just like so like warm and loud and welcoming and intense, and like would always just like bring people in. Whenever we saw each other, it was always hugs, which was like a consistent thing, you know, like not everyone's like that. But
you're very much a hugger.
Yeah, like every time a hug and love, and it was so genuine.
Tort was always a very welcoming presence. They're always one of the greatest organizers we had out there. They took care of everyone who came through. They always wanted to make sure everyone was taken care of. They were the ones who would welcome you into the forest, and they would make sure you have a sleeping bag, a sleeping pad, a tent, whatever you could possibly need. Always making sure people are getting fed, and just this kind of like the transparent you've never had.
Just really, really like always like had a joke, had like a really like good, sharp commentary. or would like give you like a cigarette.
Professional shit poster.
Yeah. I mean, their meme game
on point.
Yeah, and just always like doing a lot of things. And so they were running around a lot, like getting things for people and then handing it off to them. And so like, yeah, I think a lot of the times when we would run into, like, oftentimes we run into each other, it'd be like, oh, hey, hi, hug, okay, we're doing a thing, and then, like, okay, gotta go, bye, and there's always, like, dee, like, yeah.
The signature.
They were super into that.
Yeah. Oh, that smile.
Yeah.
They were always so passionate because they wanted to help people so bad that they would put their all into it, and it took a toll on them in a lot of ways. But they always were so fucking strong and took on so much more than I ever could. They're an inspiration to us all.
They also knew to like disappear for like hours or days at a time and just like recharge.
Mm-hmm.
They read a lot.
Oh yeah.
I remember one of the things.
They'd just be sitting in their hammock in their tent, near their tent, and just be reading, doing whatever it was they were doing, shit posting, whatever they could to de-stress. They were good about taking care of themselves, but they did get into some conundrums where they'd get stressed out, and then you just see them like go off on their own and then come back in a few days and then they're all good again. Happy-go-lucky.
What was that piece we were talking about? Revolutionary Death?
Yes.
Yeah, they read that this last summer and it really had a strong impact upon them. And I think you were sharing as well that they had spoken about how they knew it was very possible that they were going to have this revolutionary death, and that
back to them kind of giving their all. They were prepared, and they unfortunately paid the ultimate price. And as sad as we all are, I'm sure Tortuguita, wherever they are now, is happy to know that they gave their all the way until the end. They were always, they were a true revolutionary and gave their all to this movement, and I think now it's our job to take up that banner and carry on their name.
Manny meant a lot of things to all of us, but above all, they were just a fun person to be around. They just lit up every room they were in, and they had like the most infectious smile. They were always giggling and joyful, and they cared. They're in the company of the most dedicated people I've ever met. They cared about fighting on every single front, and I'll never forget that. They're an example to follow, honestly, and I know they wouldn't want to be thought of like that, but really, they were an inspiration to all of us.
They're charismatic and eccentric, and they just really they really cared and radically loved everybody. There was no limit to who was allowed to receive love or who was allowed to get help, because we were all equals, right? And this was something that Manny really held on to. And of course, there's always going to be like political discourse that might cause some contention between people, but it didn't matter. Manny just wanted to make sure that they could help wherever they could, and they were just dedicated to it. They dedicated their life to that. I just really appreciated Manny's spirit and energy. I'm very upset to know that they don't get to, because it's rare. It's a rare quality to be so dedicated to helping people and to spend almost all of your time doing that.
Manny was chosen family for me, you know, like a lot of us, you know, we have views or, you know, we live our lives in a way that is maybe not consistent with our upbringing, but we found each other and, you know, through the things that we believe in. And, you know, we've supported each other steadily for a long time. Basically, when I first met them, I think it was at the skate park actually, but we were volunteering together at like a local info shop, and it was like a DIY art space, and yeah, they were just like really creative and fun to be around. They were just kind of like sort of like a kind of nerdy pre-med student at the time. Manny was such a amazing artist too. Like, you know, we had kind of bonded over that. I'm like mainly a visual artist, and we used to set up and like paint in like the park sometimes, and like, you know, it was just really cool to see them build up their confidence and their skill, and like, you know, their ability to like sell paintings and like, you know, connect with people on that level through images. And you know, like even like leading up to just the end of their life, I mean, you know, there was still, I had just sent them a little bit of money from some prints that they just sold at like a local cafe, you know. It's just too short, you know, like they had so much ahead of them. Like, I just, when will it be enough? Like, how many people have to die before we realize, like, you know, things can be so much better than this.
Manny was telling me after they got evicted, they didn't want to just get on another lease and, you know, keep being a wage slave. They were saying the revolution needs people on the front lines, and they knew that they had the power and the capacity to be one of those people, and they did, more so than anyone else I've known. I trusted that them being out there would make the world a better place, and that they would defend the forest with every fucking fiber in their being, and they did.
I was so like enamored, but also like I felt like it was a gut punch at the same time, because it kind of just felt like your like mom or dad was leaving or something like that, because there was such like a pillar in the Tallahassee area in mutual aid, and we could feel their presence lost. Like, I missed them during the meal shares and stuff. I missed them while volunteering because I could count on them to always show up and stuff, but they knew they always had their head on where the fight was, and they knew that they could make the impact and raise the ceiling further at Cop City. So that's why I always told myself, like, that's okay. You know, like, I just have to pick it up now and take the mantle, or not just me, but us. We have to take up the mantle.
Manny went there because they felt like it was their obligation to do so. They felt like that they had to go because it was the right thing to do.
They just knew that importance about the earth and the environment and the intersectionality with it, and the destruction and excess that police bring with them. So when I think about Manny, I just don't want people to say Manny's name and stuff. I want people to be Manny at the end of the day, both in spirit and in person.
They had a bright future. They graduated like, you know, cum laude in their at FSU and pre-med. They were like, they had so many opportunities. They could have done a whole bunch of stuff in mutual aid. I remember like congratulating them on graduating though, and they were just like, fuck that, I don't care. They were just like, it didn't even matter to them, because they knew that they'd be able to make more of a difference going out there on the ground. And we don't want to be like out there fighting these pigs and these fascists. Like, we got other stuff to do with our lives. This isn't what anybody wants.
They were out there because they loved the earth and they loved people, and we want peace and joy. And when the state attacks us with its apparatus of violent coercion, it's a sign that what we're doing is working. And when they spill our blood, it means that we have to multiply our efforts 1,000-fold. The time for revolution is now, and it shouldn't take a fucking tragedy to make us realize that. Manny knew it.
for you. You are here for every marginalized community. You are here for every single person victimized by cops. I need you to remember that. You are fighting for women, for black people, for disabled people. You're fighting for your queer siblings. You're fighting for everyone you've ever loved. You're fighting for the Jewish community, the Muslim community. You're fighting for everyone. And I need your rage today. I need your ancestors to power your rage today. May you be blessed, and I pray that you stay safe. Fuck 12.
Now, the government is asking permission to kill protesters. They're asking people, do they care? Is this okay? And we need the whole world to tell them, this isn't fucking okay! All power to the people!
All power to the people. Viva Tortuguita! Viva Tortuguita! Stop Cop City! Stop Cop City! Viva Tortuguita! Viva Tortuguita! When I met Tortuguita, there was a training unexpectedly planned somewhere else in the forest when I was supposed to hold a zine workshop. And I was super excited about this zine workshop, and there's a lot of energy about it. Was really excited to write some poems and make some art with folks. And then a lot of people got called away to this training. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I'll just post up under this tree and see if anybody comes. And the person who came was Tortuguita. And as probably everybody who's seen photos, they were kind of like a walking set of dimples. Just like so beautiful. And it's hard to like to talk about them without sort of reducing them to that. And I pointed out how I felt like they could probably get away with anything because they could just flash those dimples and everyone would just kind of laugh it off. And they flashed those dimples at me when I said that. And so we were sitting under this tree and they made a couple collages, which I made printouts today. And I'm gonna pass around for anybody who would like to take it home. We were sitting there for a long time, and I brought a lot of magazines, and I had no idea what they were working on. For a while, they just kept looking for pictures of faces. And then they made this, and it says, "Everybody here hates cops." And everybody there did hate cops. And so it was excellent. I'm gonna pass those around this way to folks who can. Feel free to take that with you. We also made this this collaboration while I was there. It's their words. All cops are bastards. We must overthrow the state to be free at last. And I'm gonna pass it to my friend.
So last night I got a message from a friend who creates music, and they created this song, and it had a missing piece, and they had a voice message from Tort, and they incorporated this voice message with this song that they created. So we're gonna play it. It's like 3 minutes.
I heard there's a party. You invited me to a party. I want to go to it. And yeah, just generally catch up. I mean, I'm kind of in the wind because I'm not really sure what yeah, anyways, I don't know what's going on, but you know, you heard that a bunch of my friends got, so yeah. Anyway, I'm doing all right. Hope you are too.
Why do we do this to ourselves over and over again? It seems like we're perpetuating our own self-creating time. Oh, well, we might as well just leave it all behind and forget it.
defender, trained medic, brave soul, and so much more. Tort died a revolutionary death. They did not die in vain, but for the movement to end police militarization and protect our forests. In Tort's name, we continue to fight to defend the Willani Forest and stop Cop City. With love, rage, and a commitment to each other's safety and well-being. Justice for Tortuguita. Fight like hell for the dead and living. From Atlanta and beyond, we are all forest defenders.
But you can't picture it all on way in the end. If we should die today, maybe we'll fly away, but we just might stay instead. Why do we do this to ourselves over and over and over again? Like we perpetuate our own living hell. Oh, my friend, if we could do something about this way, about this meaningless existence, working for someone else. Why do we do this to ourselves?
Hey, I lost your number, but I did want to reach out to you and see if that party.
We're just gonna have a small minute of silence.
I intend to read a statement from anarchists in Athens, Greece, in response to the news. Tortuguita, we love you. We honor you as an anarchist comrade who fought and died for a cause we share. All humans perish, but the war against the world of police and industry, the hatred for it in our hearts that links us across languages and continents, cannot be extinguished. It is passed like an ember that sparks new fire in each person who encounters it. Your fire was so bright that it remains visible here, half-world away. Here also, the police violently confiscate spaces for their own sick purposes. Here, as everywhere, the state and capitalism conspire to kill trees, despoil mountainsides, poison the water and air. Tortuguita, we who still live take on the burden of your courage and the knowledge of your immense sacrifice. We love you, we recognize you, we call you family. We embrace your anarchist spirit and the example of bravery you set. Your memory and the memory of your commitment to the defense of the forest are alive and thriving, forever dangerous, green, and wild. Cop City will never be built.
Viva Tortuguita!
Viva Tortuguita!
Stop Cop City!
Stop Cop City!
Viva Tortuguita!
Viva Tortuguita!
Stop Cop City!
Stop Cop City!
Centered voices who are on the margins and brought them into the center. They recognize that our struggles are interconnected. They recognize that Cop City will never be built. They died defending that forest. The memory of Tortuguita that I keep returning to is after the police destroyed the gazebo at Willani People's Park in the parking lot. They were at a meeting and they said, yeah, so the cops think they can destroy our morale? They can't. Yeah, Tortuguita was one of the most resilient, strongest people I know. They hugged everyone. They were so kind and so giving. And even as the state tries to assassinate their character in addition to their body, they were a freedom fighter. They were a person that I am honored to have known, that I am honored to have called a friend. Tortuga vive. Tortuga vive. La lucha sigue. La lucha sigue. Tortuga vive. Tortuga vive. La lucha sigue. La lucha sigue.
If there's one thing that we want people to remember Tort for, it's that they were somebody who protected the people around them, who went through the training along with the rest of us to be able to provide medical resources to the people that were around them that may not have access to them. No matter what else the news says about Tort, they were a protector. Everything they did was out of love. Everything they did was out of hope for a better world.
They were a friend of mine. They were a friend of the community. Their death will not be in vain. Fuck Cop City! Fuck it all! We all have to stand here and stay together and stay resilient to fight for what we believe in and never let Tort's memory go without honor.
Mayor Dickens, Ryan Millsap, you have blood on your hands. Fuck Cop City.
Stop Cop City! Stop Cop City! Stop Cop City! No justice, no peace! No justice, murderers! Cops hate murder! The cops took our friends from us! Remember, we won't let them! Right here, put him in fucking cuffs. I didn't do anything. I didn't do
And then if she doesn't want to walk, then you gotta do what you gotta do. Is it October 23rd?
Back up, dude.
Sir, are those live rounds?
Hey everyone, we're live on Unicorn Riot right now. We're in Atlanta, Georgia, and there are state troopers and possibly Atlanta police officers as well here at the RC field. This person's pointing their gun inside a bouncy house right now. That state trooper just pointed a rifle inside a bouncy house.
This is a public park.
There must be some kind of way out of here, said the Joker to the thief. Businessmen, they drink a wine, and the plowman take that herb.
We played as the sun was setting, and so I was kind of standing there playing the show, and as we were playing, I was playing all along the watchtower, funny enough, and there's a bunch of helicopters just going around, and they've been going around all day, but this one was different because it seemed like they were just circling, particularly here, because you could tell that they were coming in and they're trying to see what's going on over here, but around probably like halfway through our set, they were actually started arresting people because somebody got on stage, like they're arresting people, and some people started going that way. We have all our gear, so we started just packing up, and we sat behind the stage and just waited to hear what was going on.
How y'all doing out there? It's fuck 12 every day of the year. Remember, not just saving the forest. There's black people that have been living here forever, that they are trying to encroach in their space, in our fucking space. Fuck that.
With music and all art, especially in times like this, they're probably the most necessary thing to combat ideals that aren't for everybody. If you don't have somebody screaming in a mic over some music, and if that's a threat to them, then you know how powerful that is. The music is just expression for everybody here to feel the same wavelength, to be present at the same time, and it's just important to make sure that everybody feels comfortable, everybody's enjoying themselves, everybody can relax. That's the whole point of art, is especially music, like making people relax, making people think. So the fact that that's where they came for music films just shows exactly where they're at. You know what I mean? They're not very, I don't know, it seems like people's souls are intact on the other side, because I can't really see how you could see little children in a bouncy house and families and people eating and think, we should go raid this. It makes no sense. And once again, the people of the county don't want them to build this. The citizens here do not want it. So for them to even keep suggesting and keep being so forceful shows you where their heart's at and where their souls are at. And I know righteous causes when I see one. And like I said, I will keep saying this. The forest, I'm an Eagle Scout. I've been president of Sierra Club. The forest is important. We love trees. But the more important thing is that the black people in this area do not want this here. So that's more important to me than anything, of those people's comfort, because yes, we have to protect the forest, I get that, but the forest is not more important than the black people that have lived here for their whole lives. That's just facts. Like, it's not even comparable, you know? It was very Stormtrooper-esque. It's the only way I can say it. I was talking to some people from my band about how it's a good reminder to know how like fascism is in this country and how it's very much alive. There's no reason why you should be pointing AR-15 in a bouncy house. Like, There's no crime going on in the bouncy house. I remember this family of 4, and this little girl, and this is a little white girl, so you know, like, if they saw that, it would have been done. But this little white girl was just crying so hard because she had no idea what was going on. And she kept saying the flashlight's coming over here, and they had to, like, kind of hunker them down so they could calm them down. And, like, you just traumatize kids for nothing. And that's just a little white girl. All the black kids that live around here are going to be traumatized if they put the Cop City up. So it's what is the point of just traumatizing kids, trying to get them to be scared of authority figure? Like, y'all can really just fuck off. The black people that live around here need to have peace of mind, and there's no peace of mind when your enemy's at the back door. Because if this is 20 years ago, this area was so over-policed. It's still over-policed, but they were even more vicious with how they dealt with citizens, like what the units, like the Red Dog unit, that would come around here and just, it's too much. We don't need more violence. Like, pretend violence makes more violence. I'm for all defunding the police, but if they're gonna do anything, you should put into their ethic training, not them practicing warfare on a fake city terrain. That is literally insanity to me. Doesn't sound like America to me, but actually, that is very much American. I take that back. That's probably the most American thing that could happen. So, yeah.
The hour is getting near.
Victor was targeted among many people who were at the festival. It's not a coincidence that Victor is an indigenous person that was targeted.
They say protesters who had just left a nearby music festival threw explosives and Molotov cocktails at police officers and set equipment on fire. Police are seen chasing down people in the woods using stun guns to stop the protesters.
Look at where his shoulder is, man. He can't put his hand behind his back. Shit, man.
This is way too much force, dude.
Yeah, because you're chasing him. What you expect you to do?
Everybody started running. My dog was running. Hey, what are you tasing him for? Yeah, what the hell are you doing? You're gonna hurt him. Let him go.
So, 3 people start running. 2 of them were white. 1 of them were indigenous. Guess which one he followed? He then tackled him, put him in a headlock, and his arm was face down, and his arm was down like this. And he was saying that he couldn't breathe. And then he was saying that if he didn't put his hands behind his back, he would keep choking him. Now physically, he's incapable of putting his hands behind his back because his shoulder's pinned down. When it comes to the perpetration of violence within this movement, it has consistently been from the police. We have not seen one bruise on one police officer that has been inflicted by the folks that support this movement.
I got it.
So he keeps choking him.
No more.
And it was us that had to de-escalate it. The person with the gun and the taser tasing this man was the one that was scared for his life.
No.
That's the best you can do? And you mean to tell me giving you more weapons is going to help this problem?
Mercy.
If the only thing that you can invest in is violence, you're creating the situation to justify your own existence.
The way in which they were arrested was incredibly violent. And today we're here at Stewart Detention Center to vigil with Victor, to introduce Victor to the land. They were transferred from DeKalb County, never having been here before. So connecting Victor to the land through us has been a big part of what I do each time that we visit.
Coming this way, I was thinking that the police force is the only employee that has authority to mistreat his employer.
That's right.
It's like if they have forget where their salary comes from.
That's right.
They have forget that it's not only us who pay, but we are paying so they can protect us. Not the system, not the government, not private corporations. It's the people.
Nevertheless, we can show you frail femme folks that have been hit, brutalized by police. We can show you multiple people that have come in with mugshots with black eyes. We're going to spread the ashes of our friend Tortuguita this upcoming weekend. So the asymmetry in information, especially with the chief fundraiser of this project owning the primary newspaper in the city, is outrageous.
The people is the one that needs protection. But since that haven't happened, it's up to us to take matters into our own hands. And the way to do it is to raise our voices. We all deserve for our rights not to be stripped away from us.
That's right.
And one of our rights is to raise our voice, and that's what Victor did.
Mm-hmm,
And because of that, he has been put on this place.
Yes.
It's not fair. That needs to stop. And that needs to stop now.
Yes.
And you can be part of the solution. That's my invitation for you today.
That's right.
Come join us.
We want the world to know Victor, to know how much Victor has served, how much Victor has done. And what Victor says is, when those of you out there want to help him, please write letters. You can do that. But what they say is, serve your community. That's how you can help Victor. They have such a mind for building, for helping those around them, that their big message to me the last time we visited was, when people want to help me, look around you, see who needs help, and help them.
Imagine your child was killed by the police under suspicious circumstances, and imagine the police will tell you nothing. What suspicious circumstances? Just to give context to everything that will follow here. The forest was being cleared in an unprecedented crackdown against protesters. The police went to the forest that morning planning for violence. You can see it in the city of Atlanta videos. They formed firing squads, multiple officers with weapons drawn. It was a powder keg, and the moment there was a lapse in judgment on anyone's behalf, there would be death. That was what was guaranteed when they were clearing the forest of these peaceful protesters. To that point, no one had injured a law enforcement officer. No one had attacked a law enforcement officer. And yet they went to clear the forest of sit-in protesters at gunpoint. They did reconnaissance on the scene. It was a planned operation. Yet no one had a body camera when they shot. And well, or so we are told. The larger context of this unprecedented crackdown is the domestic terrorism charges and the use of the state's force to quell dissent. This isn't alarm. This is terrifying. People are sitting in the DeKalb County Jail right now who have no factual basis for the charges against them, at least none that have been articulated, simply because they were charged with domestic terrorism. None of the people in the jail right now have an allegation that they threw a Molotov cocktail, that they lit a construction equipment on fire, that they shot off fireworks. None of the allegations we heard were specific to any person, and yet we have 21 people in the DeKalb County Jail denied bond. This is continuing, this is ongoing. This is intimidation by the state against dissent. Is this what Cop City is going to bring to our city? Is this the type of policing that they will be training for raids, to serve arrest warrants at gunpoint and group meetings? Do they want us to be scared? Because people are scared. The family is scared.
As we explained in our first press conference on February the 6th, the DeKalb County Medical Examiner's Office conducted the first autopsy. That's an autopsy which has not been released, and the family has had no access to it. On January the 31st, at the request of the family, forensic pathologist Dr. Chris Sperry conducted a second autopsy. Today we released the whole autopsy report. We are here today to talk about what we learned from that autopsy and demand the release of the investigation conducted by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. What did we learn from this autopsy? We learned that Manuel died from multiple gunshot wounds. We knew that already. Manuel was shot so many times and by different firearms that the tracks of the bullets running through the body converge and intersect. That means that the same parts of his body were shot by different officers. The autopsy identifies 14 separate gunshot injuries. Manuel was shot in the head through his right eye, in the left upper chest, in the abdomen, in his arms, and in their legs. The hands were all shot up. According to the autopsy, the wounds indicate that Manuel's left arm and hand were raised when Manuel was shot, with the palm facing the front of the body. Manuel's right forearm and right hand were also shot. The gunshot to the head would have killed them instantly, but probably, in the words of the report, not before they were able to raise their hands and arms in front of their body, like that. The wounds to the legs are consistent with Manuel having been shot while they were sitting down cross-legged. Manuel was likely shot by individuals, according to the report, standing in front of them relatively close. Manuel was looking death in the face, hands raised, when killed.
When inconvenient information came to light, the GBI decided to interfere with the Atlanta Police Department. It wrote the APD a letter asking it to stop releasing videos and other material related to what happened that morning. Mind you, the GBI, as we've already discussed, had no problem releasing selected videos, even from the arrest last week on March 5th, within 24 hours of those arrests, and had no problem releasing other information about Manuel that they said conformed to the narrative that they were putting forth. Also, in addition to the GBI, the Attorney General's office sent a letter to the City of Atlanta advising it didn't have to release the records to the family. It appears there has been a coordinated campaign to silence the City of Atlanta, and it worked. The APD then refused to release the rest of the recordings in its possession to the family or to the media. Manuel's family deserves answers. They need answers to what happened that day. And it is our job to try and get the information that is necessary to find those answers. So when the GBI intervened, and the city of Atlanta stopped providing the records that they were promised to provide, we had no choice but to file a lawsuit to secure those records under the Georgia Open Records Act. Without truth, there can be no reconciliation. Without truth, there can be no justice. Without truth, this family can find no peace. We ask the APD to release the rest of the recordings in its possession.
My child, Manuel Esteban Paez Terán, was killed here in Atlanta on the 18th of January 2023. We still do not know anything. It was killed our most beloved family member and the most caring person that any group of people could have, and there is only silence. Manuel loved the forest, gave them peace. They meditate there. The forest connects them with God. I never thought that Manuel could die in a meditation position. My heart is destroyed. I invest so much time, care, and dedication to educate my children to become active members of a society. I gave them love and compassion as tools to make the world a better place. I deserve answers.
Even amongst friends and family, the narrative the police have laid out is believed. My life has been frozen with Manny being guilty until proven innocent. All of this is occurring while people are terrified of police escalation. I can't even attend a vigil for Manny without 10 cop cars showing up or a low-flying helicopter showing up to intimidate us.
My child was an upstanding individual that gave his life for others. They gave his life for his ideals. They defend the environment. They convince others with conviction and also with understanding, and never with violence. Do not get surprised that people from different states of the Union, indigenous communities, and several countries of the world are coming to Atlanta to give their support for the first environmental activist assassinated in Atlanta, state of Georgia, United States of America. This multitude of people that support us as a family and cry with us as one, they are not terrorists. Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, stop manipulating the information about my son's assassination. You keep us, the family, the community, and the world in total dark about what happened at the forest in January 18, 2023. I have a different narrative about my son. He is a hero. We demand information to our attorneys so we can proceed with a real and independent investigation.
Be happy. Enjoy that we can continue his legacy. Enjoy that they gave us a legacy.
Yes.
They gave us example. My wish from all my heart is that this example is alive. Alive with everybody. Alive with actions not just talking. I am happy. I am happy that I was blessed with such a wonderful person. Don't be sad, don't be sorrow, because we have a life. Yes. We can give them a life. And I hope everybody all over the world knows about them.
And we just always argued, and you know, Manny, you're right, you know, and you win. And I miss you so fucking much. And I'm so proud of everyone here. I'm so proud of my parents, and thank you all for coming. I know the weather is not desirable, but that's just how much we love you, Manny.
Cielo, tierra pasará, mas tu palabra no pasará. No, no, no pasará. No, 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 no pasará. No, no, no pasará. No, 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 no pasará. Remember the Terán and Duesa family. Remembering all the friends. I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you. I love you. I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you. I love you. I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you. I love you. So, because this must not be stopped here.
That's right.
This is the beginning.
Yes.
The beginning.
¡Viva, viva Tortuguita! ¡Viva, viva Tortuguita! ¡Viva, viva Tortuguita! ¡Viva, viva Tortuguita! We will burn it! 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 We will burn it!
And we decided to stop because the situation is kind of crazy, right? And we had deliberated about what we wanted to do and what we thought we could accomplish, but we're not prepared really to sacrifice ourselves. But we shouldn't come away from this feeling demoralized. We should feel clarity, right? Because we believe we set out to participate in a protest movement to, you know, obstruct the construction of a police militarization site. But we're coming under constant attack, right? So everything we do, we're attacked. It was mentioned earlier, but a group of people this morning stood on the sidewalk chanting, and they were attacked. People who are bailing other people out of jail, they're attacked.
We have to be serious what we are doing. We have to be serious that they are rich because we allow them to be rich. Okay? We make them rich. So this is my proposal. Boycott any insurance, anything that is involved with Cop City. Boycott Cop City.
And so I believe that we are going to win this movement. And I think you guys believe that we're going to win this movement. But that's going to require us to abandon the idea of looking good losing. We can't look good losing. So are we going to look good losing, or are we going to win?